made it to September. Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday, the first day of September 2020. I am Dan Kuntz. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. August is in the rear view mirror, but the weather is certainly going to feel like August. We still got a lot of summer to go. The summer solstice isn't until the 22nd, and it's going to feel, at least by September standards anyway, it's going to be warm. Forecast details are coming up. Same deal that's been going on, we mentioned before yesterday. Big ridge of high pressure over the southwest continental United States, spinning around, sending all that warm air up here, and we're in for lots of sunshine, warm temperatures, a little breezy at times, but nothing we can't handle. Weather forecast details are coming up. We also have your news to get to, lots of sports to get to. Marco Gonzalez looked so good. When I got home from work yesterday, I watched the Mariners and the Angels play a little baseball. Baseball's a great sport when you need it. You don't necessarily need it, but when you need it, it's there. And I needed it yesterday, and I enjoyed watching Marco mow down the Angels. Talk about that when we get to sports. Everything else that you're used to, and a very important conversation coming your way in the back half of the hour with Tim Day and Lauren Wiggum from Confluence Health. And the topic that we discussed that came in yesterday, and we taped it, we'll air it for you in the back half of the program. Of course, kids are back to school, sort of. It's a virtual world that we're living in now because of the COVID crisis. And we're going to talk about how that may be affecting the mental well-being of not only the kids out there who are going to school but aren't really in a classroom, and the parents as well. So our conversation with Tim and Lauren will air in the back half of the program. Beautiful morning. It's fairly mild, 68 degrees, 2 minutes after the hour. Let's take our tour. The cross camera always begins the proceedings. As you can see, the shadows are longer and longer. The days are getting shorter and shorter. 6:21 was sunrise this morning. Sunset tonight, 7:40, 13 hours and 19 minutes of daylight. We're losing almost 3 minutes of daylight per day. About 2 minutes and 49 seconds, I think, is what we're losing of daylight per day. Yesterday's high, 82 degrees, which was quite a bit cooler than what they were predicting, but it was exactly normal. Our normal high for the last day of August would be 82 degrees. We're going to be warmer than that for the rest of the week and really right into the weekend as we look out over the Wenatchee Valley proper from our cross camera located adjacent to the cross at the tip of Wenatchee Heights. Camera number 2. Megan wants to go pay a visit to Lake Chelan, and we shall do that. Bear Mountain camera? Hey, Bear Mountain camera, there you go. One of my favorite golf courses is Bear Mountain, especially the back nine. I really enjoy the back nine. Except for the 18th hole, which I have never parred. The 18th hole is a monster. You can land an airplane on that fairway, and the hole eats me alive. I can't hit the ball as far as I used to. Outside of that, I love the Bear Mountain Golf Course. I got to get up there and play it. Good morning, Lake Chelan, as we're looking to the north, up towards Tehican and Holden Village, and the rest. Manson to your right. Camera number 3. Oh boy, is that the Chelan Butte camera? That's the Waterville camera. We're looking down towards the Columbia River down there. I think it's the Waterville camera, kind of sort of pointed to Chelan, I'm guessing. Megan threw a curveball at me there. Hi, that's the Waterville camera, but that's an angle we have not used in a long time. I'm assuming that's what we're looking at. The hills is over in Chelan County, and down there out of your view is the Columbia River. I'm spitballing here, having never seen this angle before, but I'm guessing that's probably correct. I'm not particularly bright. For you regular viewers of this program, you figured that out a long time ago. And camera number 4. Let's see, the sun is kind of playing havoc with me. I'm going to say Tumwater. Yay, Tumwater. Just before you enter into the Tumwater Canyon on your way up to downtown Winton, downtown Coles Corner, Lake Wenatchee, right before you enter into the Tumwater Canyon, that's where the camera is located. So we're looking basically at the town of Leavenworth with Wenatchee way off into the distance and a beautiful sunrise in Leavenworth. All of these cameras, of course, courtesy of Localtel's Sky-Fi high-speed wireless setup, and that camera is on a Sky-Fi tower. It's a pretty cool deal. Got 3 slides to show for you. First of all, warm and dry this week. Yeah, looking good. Friday and Saturday, as I mentioned before, at least by the early September standards, going to be kind of hot, I guess you would say. I mean, it's happened before, but we're going to have another long stretch of very warm weather. It's going to look really good. We'll be in the 80s to low 90s We'll be about 90 today, a little bit cooler tomorrow, and then back up again, and then we're going to start warming up. And Labor Day weekend, boy, you're looking forward to the holiday weekend. And of course, Labor Day is as late as it could possibly be. It's always the first Monday in September. It can be as early as the 1st. It could be as late as the 7th. And this year, it's on the 7th. That's the way the calendar falls. And we're looking at a very nice Labor Day weekend. Maybe a little breezy. It's kind of far out in the forecast to really give you an accurate idea of how much wind we're going to get, but we're pretty confident, at least the National Weather Service is, that Labor Day weekend going to be nice for almost everybody wherever you go. And the long-term forecast, this comes from the Climate Prediction Center, and we've showed you this before. This is an updated map. Very high confidence from those folks at the CPC that we're going to have above average temperatures and below average precipitation all the way through the September 13th. We're in for a dry, warm September coming our way. We really need precipitation. We are just bone dry, way behind on our annual rainfall, but there's no rain coming, guarantee you that. Patriot Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling gives your home a hug. Here's your forecast from the National Weather Service. Sunshine about 91 today, so considerably warmer than it was yesterday, and we're 68 already, so we're climbing that ladder. Not a lot of wind to speak of. Today, very strange thing happened this morning. I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. First thing I did is I went outside on my front porch, and it was breezy. I mean, it was a good 20, 25 mile an hour wind. About 15 minutes later, I went back out on my front porch, calm as could be. It was like somebody just threw the switch. 65 for the overnight low with clear skies. A little breezy at times as a weak trough kind of just flies in and out. Wednesday, a little bit cooler as some of the cool air comes in tonight. Again, also going to be a little breezy at times on Wednesday. A high of about 89. No big wind. It's northwest wind about 8 to 16 miles an hour. It's going to be breezy on Wednesday night, 62 for the overnight low. We could have the occasional gust around 25 miles an hour on Wednesday night. The gradients are going to tighten just a little bit. Then it's not going to be a problem at all. Here come the hits. 92 Thursday, 95 Friday, 96 Saturday, Sunday, 96, Monday to Labor Day, 95. Long stretch of sunny and warm weather. Overnight lows well above normal. The daytime highs well above normal. No rain in the forecast. If you like sunshine and warm temperatures, you're in for a treat for quite a time. It is 8 minutes after the hour. We are going to take a break. When we come back, we got the news. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Life channel.
Pybus Public Market's motto is where community meets. Whether it's people, enjoying an event, or they meet a colleague for coffee and whip out their laptop and are able to actually do work here, having quick and reliable Wi-Fi is one of the things that makes Pybus such a great community hub. It just contributes to the welcoming place that we want Pybus to be. I'm Allie, and fiber keeps people connected, and that's what Pybus Market is all about.
Join us for Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike Magnotti on the NCW Life channel. This former police sergeant is plugged into not only the world of the streets, he's an actor and connoisseur of the arts. So join Mike and his guest for, Street Talk and Other Stuff. Mondays at 10 a.m., Tuesdays and Thursdays at 2 p.m., and Wednesdays at 5:30. It's Street Talk and Other Stuff with Mike Magnotti on the NCW Life channel.
9 minutes after the hour, clear skies, 67 degrees outside of our studios, lower 90s today, lots of sunshine, nice light breeze. Just about the same temperature next couple of days with some wind on Wednesday and Thursday, and then nothing but sunshine and warm temperatures right into the holiday weekend. Here are your headlines. The search continues this morning for a man who disappeared Sunday afternoon after reportedly jumping from a boat into Banks Lake. The Grand County Sheriff's Office said the missing Western Washington man did not resurface after jumping from a stationary boat. Marine units and drones were used to search for the man on Sunday, and then yesterday, the Columbia Basin Dive Rescue Team joined in the search. The report came in just before 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. About the same time, the Sheriff's Office was launching a personal watercraft at Coulee City, but despite the quick response, the man has not been found. McDougall & Sons Fruit in Wenatchee is the latest agricultural operation to undergo complete COVID-19 testing for all of its employees. 9 workers there tested positive for the virus last week, triggering a new emergency rule from Governor Jay Inslee that says all staff in farm operations must be screened if cases rise above a certain level. Confluence Health began tests at McDougall on Friday, and the Chelan Douglas Health District says it will monitor cases and provide pandemic control guidance to the company. Speaking of COVID-19, the Grant County Health District is reporting that 2 more residents have died from COVID-19. The deaths bring the county's total to 15. The district said one of the deaths was a man in his 40s from Moses Lake who died at his home. The other was a Quincy resident in his 80s who died while hospitalized. Grant County has seen a surge recently in coronavirus cases, with 76 new cases reported since just last Friday. Wenatchee police are asking for your help in identifying a couple of suspected shoplifters who allegedly took merchandise from an adult gift store. The man seen in these security images is suspected of swiping more than $300 in merchandise from For the Love of It on North Wenatchee Avenue on July 31st, and then again last Thursday. Police says he has full sleeve tattoos on both arms, one of which may include the text "Hustlers." The woman seen in these images was not believed to have taken any merchandise, but police say they'd like to talk to her as well, as you might imagine. If you have any information, the number to call is 888-4121. Librarians in Chelan and Douglas counties can now begin handing out book orders, and they can do it curbside and taking in return materials the same way. And that's a relief for NCW Libraries Director Barbara Walters, who tells our own Jefferson Robbins the curbside program will get started on September 14th.
Curbside service for libraries is okay. You've been able to do something like this in other counties outside Chelan and Douglas. So do you have a model for how it will work in the Wenatchee Valley?
Yes, it'll actually work the exact same. The only difference is that because our mail order library services are also in Chelan County, we'll be able to restart those services as well. So that will be a big boon for all of our counties. I actually have heard that folks in Chelan and Douglas County have been dropping off books in Quincy. They've been getting inundated with our returns.
Does that work as a system? I mean, if I had wanted to return my books in Quincy, could I have done that and not affected the system?
Yep, you can certainly return your books anywhere in any of our 5-county region. So this was, again, pretty exciting. We felt that because we were able to offer this service in our, the other 3 counties very successfully and very safely, keeping our staff and our patrons safe, that we really pushed for this to be available in Chelan and Douglas counties. And I worked very closely with both Yakima and Mid-Columbia regional library systems. So,
had the NCW libraries been in contact with the state, with the Department of Health and Governor's office to sort of lobby for this?
Yes. So originally I reached out to Salvador Salazar. So he's our Central Washington representative for Governor Inslee, and he encouraged us, the 3 library districts, to work with our local Department of Health. So with the support of the Board of Trustees for the library, I reached out to Malcolm Butler and several of our local and state representatives to get their support for us to provide this curbside and mail order services. There's a lot of back end stuff that we need to work on before we can start offering this service, though we may open up our drop boxes sooner rather than later, but mail order services should be up and running within 2 weeks.
Good news, we love our libraries around here. And finally, space is limited, but the Wenatchee Parks and Recreation Department is going to be holding a drive-in screening of the movie Frozen 2 in September in the Town Toyota Center parking lot. The drive-in replicates the department's Movie in the Park series this year, which wasn't held. This will be held September 26th, beginning at 7:15. Pre-registration is required. There's not a lot of parking spaces left. You can go to the City of Wenatchee's website, or you can call 888-3284, and that's what's making headlines at 15 minutes after the hour. The news crew will be doing what they do so well, and that's putting together a newscast for you. At 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 10 o'clock, Eric Grandstrom handles sports. Grant handles the weather forecast. He's also our anchor. With a preview of tonight's news, here's Grant.
Good morning, Dan. Coming up tonight on the NCW Life Evening News, the latest unemployment figures are in for the Wenatchee Valley. We'll show you those latest numbers. The heat is on. I'll have your unseasonably hot North Central Washington weather forecast, and Eric Granstrom will be here with a look at the upcoming Mariners series with the red-hot Oakland A's in sports. That and all the day's headlines coming up tonight at 5, 6, and 10 on the NCW Life Evening News. We hope to see you then. Dan?
Thank you, Grant. We'd love to hear from you, our viewers, and you're really good at getting a hold of us. Well, we give you as many tools in the toolbox as we have available to you. You can go to our Facebook page. If you want to give us a thumbs up, that's cool. You don't have to. But if you want to drop us a line via our Facebook page, go to our Facebook page, use the Messenger app, and type it out. We'll get it here. You can email us directly, news@ncwlife.com, news@ncwlife.com, or if you go to our homepage, first of all, you want to bookmark it because we populate it all the time with the latest local news. But at the top of it, you'll see the contact icon. Click on that. It's pretty self-explanatory from there. Going to take a break. When we come back, sports. The Mariners earned a split with the Angels, but unfortunately, they won't be playing the A's tonight. Baseball in the headlines when we come back. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, first day of September edition on the NCW Life channel.
Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere is your place for famous blues, brews, and barbecue.
Currently, Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere is open for dine-in and take-out. Owner Justin Hefner and his staff are just as excited as you to get back to their regularly scheduled full menu, music, and poker. So stay tuned. Meanwhile, Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere is serving a limited menu for lunch and dinner, dine-in or take-out.
Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere, the coolest place in town.
I'm Tom from Alpine Air Heating and Cooling. At Alpine Air, we think of ourselves as customer service-oriented retailers. When you make an appointment, please visit our store, meet our people, see our shop. We are serious about heating and air conditioning. Carrier and Alpine Air are offering huge factory rebates and financing options for all your needs. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. Call for your free replacement estimate. Heat and air, call Alpine Air, 662-6846.
Just about 18 minutes after the hour, let's do sports. Marco Gonzalez very well may have pitched the best game of his major league career yesterday. He looked really sharp. The Mariners topping the Angels. The final was 2-1. The left-hander from Gonzaga and, of course, a former Wenatchee Apple Sock. He pitched his second complete game of his career. He allowed 1 run, 4 hits. He struck out 8, walked just 1. He said, not surprisingly, it felt pretty good.
Just for a lot of reasons, this was a tough road trip. And I wasn't expecting to be as emotional as I was today. But it's just one of those things where, you know, it seems to all kind of pile out at once. And for us to go out and kind of close up the road trip the way we did, it really meant a lot. And, you know, I just can't speak enough about the character of this group. We've hung together through a lot of tough times, and, you know, it's kind of been a roller coaster trip. When I walked off the field in the 8th, I looked at Skip and I said, "This is my game." I knew it from the first inning. I knew it from the first pitch, and it's just one of those things where I kind of just wanted to get home. I want to be home. I want to be back in Seattle, and a lot of emotions.
Joseph Odom is the catcher. He caught a really good game. He also had an RBI base hit. Jose Marmolejos, he went 2 for 3. He had a solo home run. Manager Scott Service said it felt good to put together 2 straight close wins to end the road trip.
Yeah, what a way to end the trip. Back-to-back 2-1 games. Certainly we jumped on Marco Gonzalez's back today, and he carried us the whole way. So outstanding effort. I know Marco wasn't maybe sharp as he's used to being his first outing on this trip over in San Diego, but he got it righted today. I thought he made a great adjustment in the 3rd inning, and he stayed with it and got the results he was looking for. You don't pitch a complete game without your catcher contributing huge, and Joe Odom had a heck of a game. So he swung the bat well, driving in a run, did a great job with Marco behind the dish, and Marmolejos again, big home run there. So winning back-to-back 2-1 games, something we haven't done a lot of. And our offense has struggled a little bit here the last few games, but that's team effort, and the pitching staff picking us up. So nice way to end this trip, and get ready to head back home.
Mariners and Angels won't play each other for the rest of the year, and the Mariners and the Angels ended up splitting their 4-game series. Now, Seattle was supposed to start a 3-game series at T-Mobile Park tonight with Oakland in town, but it ain't going to happen. According to Mariner MLB writer Greg Johns, a member of the A's tested positive Saturday for COVID-19. Oakland is in Houston, and they were supposed to remain there overnight last night after their final game with the Astros was postponed on Sunday. Major League Baseball made the move to postpone the Seattle series until at least Thursday, quote, out of an abundance of caution, end quote. If the A's get cleared to travel by Thursday, they'll play a doubleheader that day. They'll have to make up the 3rd game somewhere before the end of the year is over. Seattle General Manager Jerry Dipoto met with reporters prior to the Mariner game in L.A. Yesterday to discuss all the trades have occurred, and there's been a lot of them. The latest, another trade with San Diego. Taylor Williams no longer here. He's a member of the Padres, traded for a player to be named later. Could be me. Dipoto said it was quite a week leading up to the final few hours.
We 100% expected to execute the Taijuan Walker trade, whether it be with Toronto or one of the other teams that had been in discussion with us. But roughly the last 2 deals with the Padres came a little bit unexpected. The Padres had called repeatedly on Austin Nola, and we had repeatedly rebuffed the interest. And ultimately, the return just became, too big for us to pass up in our minds. So the result of those discussions was understanding their interest in Taylor Williams, which led to the 3rd deal. So, a really interesting 72 hours, to say the least. The final days were pretty hectic, especially the last half hour. So.
Dipoto was in his 5th season as GM of the Mariners, and in that time, he's gotten rid of all the high-priced free agents and aging talent. He's replaced it with a young and vibrant farm system, and he said his plan is starting to take shape.
I hate to say when you're not winning games at the major league level with the frequency that we would like, that it's going extraordinarily well, but it's going better than extraordinarily well for us. We have had, over the last year and a half, I'm not sure we could have painted a picture that has gone much better. Learning so much about our young players, watching prospects continue to develop, even what we're seeing down at the alternate site in Tacoma, with players like Jared Kelenic, with players like Logan Gilbert and George Kirby, Brandon Williamson, Cal Raleigh, who have all been excellent in this camp, and adding talent to our system like Emerson Hancock, like Taylor Trammell, and it feels almost impossible to imagine that from the time we started this process in September of 2018 to where we are today, that it could have gone much better.
Now, the Mariners and Angels game was the only game being played in the American League West on Monday. So let's take a look at the standings on this first day of September, a little past the halfway mark. Oakland leads over Houston, but it's shrunk. It's gotten smaller. It's just now 2.5 games. The Mariners, as you see there, remain in 3rd place. They're 8.5 games back of the A's. By the way, Seattle 6 games back in the wild card chase. Over 17,000 student athletes in Washington have signed a petition asking for fall sports to be fall sports. The group is called Student Athletes of Washington. The acronym that they're using is SAW. Their petition was released Monday morning and surpassed 5,000 signatures by the afternoon. Now it's blown past 17,000. One of the movement organizers is Mount Si senior Cole Nora. He said, and I'm quoting now, "We feel that our voice is not one that is being considered or heard. Those in position to make decisions on our behalf are not looking at things from our collective point of view." End quote. SAW is asking the governor and the WIAA to allow sports and extracurricular activities that were originally scheduled this fall to go on as planned. The fall football season, of course, as you know, was moved to the spring because of the coronavirus pandemic. Student athletes of Washington plan a rally at the state capitol Thursday at 4 in the afternoon. Now, those are just some of the games that people are playing. on this first day of September. And the obscure holiday today is National No Rhyme Nor Reason Day. Notice how the backdrop is orange. Does that give you a hint about what this day is all about? It's observed every September 1st, and it celebrates refractory phrases, or refractory rhymes, if you will. These are words in the English language which don't rhyme with any other word. So if you're a poet, you want to avoid these words, and one of those words is orange. Orange is a word in the English language that does not rhyme with any other word in the English language. There are others: month, spirit, chimney, purple, woman, and my personal favorite, angst. Because every once in a while I get a little angsty. No rhyme, nor reason day. There was actually a songwriter buddy of mine who tried to work all of these words into a song. It sounded like Bob Dylan on a bad day. Anyway, happy No Rhyme nor Reason Day, September 1st. For the people who live in Europe, September 1st will always go down as the day World War II started. September 1st, 1939, Nazi Germany invaded Poland, and World War II was underway. Here's a look.
On September the 1st, 1939, the Nazi army smashed into Poland.
Yeah, it didn't take very long. It took them about, 3 days to get to Warsaw. Obviously, you saw the footage. Nazis had bombers and tanks. Poland had cavalry. They had horses and pop guns. It didn't take a great deal of effort for Nazi Germany to simply roll right into Poland. Of course, Poland had treaties with both Great Britain and France, and a couple of days later, we were full bore into World War II, which began 81 years ago today. The very first book my dad ever made me read when I was a kid was The Old Man and the Sea, and it was first published on this date back in 1952, 68 years ago today. Of course, written by Ernest Hemingway. Not a particularly long book, completely engrossing book. I was absorbed by it from the beginning to the end. In fact, the last time I read The Old Man and the Sea, which was about 10 years ago, I read it all the way through in one sitting. It doesn't take a long time to read. Yeah, Ernest Hemingway is a pretty good writer. It ended up winning the Pulitzer Prize for Best Novel of that year, one of the great books of the 20th century. I think they still teach it in schools. I don't know. I've been out of school for 38 years, but I still think that they teach it in the public schools. It's required reading. It's required reading for anybody who likes a good book. The Old Man and the Sea, Ernest Hemingway. You can buy it on the state 68 years ago today. And first edition copies, even though it sold like 500,000 in a month, are hard to find. It's hard to believe that a chess match would be a media sensation, but it happened. And on this date in 1972, September 1st, 1972, in Reykjavik, Iceland, Bobby Fischer, the American Bobby Fischer, defeated Russian Boris Spassky to become the chess champion of the world. There were all kinds of Cold War implications. The Soviet Union had dominated the World Chess Championships for the last 20 years, and Bobby Fischer became an international media celebrity. It was called the Match of the Century. They televised chess matches. They did. Bobby Fischer Day was held in New York. He was offered numerous product endorsements totaling over $5 million, which in 1972 was like $30 million today. Bobby Fischer turned them all down. Membership in the United States Chess Federation doubled in 1972. It peaked in 1974. There was a huge chess boom in this country in those years, and it's all credited to Bobby Fischer. It's still probably the most famous chess championship before or since. I don't play chess. I'm not that smart. Happened on this day 48 years ago today. Back to the Cold War. Yeah, wow, I remember this. This is the 37th anniversary of Korean Airlines Flight 007, shot down by a Soviet Union jet fighter. The commercial aircraft flew into Soviet airspace. Nobody disputes that. They knew it was a commercial aircraft. All 269 people on board were killed. It was probably as close as we ever came to actually going to war during the Cold War. Tensions were pretty high in '83. Here's a news report.
Anxiety had started to mount when the flight from New York to Seoul, with a stop in Anchorage, wasn't heard from for several hours. First reports said the plane had been forced down on the Soviet-controlled Sakhalin Island, which is off northern Japan. Then came the unavoidable savage truth. When the big jet had disappeared from Japanese flight control radar, it had disappeared from the sky itself, obliterated with up to 269 people aboard by a heat-seeking missile fired by a Soviet Su-15 interceptor. Among those presumed dead, United States Senator Larry McDonald and at least 30, possibly 40 other Americans and an Australian family of 4. In Washington, Secretary of State Schultz said this was no accident. He described how the Soviet hunters tracked their prey.
Aircraft for 2.5 hours, at least 8 fighters at one time or another were around in the vicinity, and the aircraft that shot the plane down was close enough for visual inspection of the aircraft.
About 15 years after this incident happened, when the Soviet Union no longer existed and Boris Yeltsin was in charge, they basically opened up the file. And basically what happened is what I just told you, that it did fly into Soviet airspace, but at the same time the Soviets knew that this wasn't a spy plane, it was a passenger airline, and they shot it down anyway. As a gesture of goodwill, Boris Yeltsin returned the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder. The flight data recorder was empty. It had been erased. The cockpit voice recorder, which was also recovered by the Soviets, couldn't understand a word they said. Happened on this date 37 years ago today. And they found the Titanic. Yep, 35 years ago today, September 1st, 1985. This was huge news. A joint American-French expedition finally located the wreck of the Titanic from ABC News.
From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. There is no more famous shipwreck in the world, and the discovery of the Titanic in the Atlantic off the coast of Canada has been the dream of countless deep-sea explorers. Well, thanks to an American-French team, it is no longer a dream. In a moment, we'll talk to a member of the task force which found the Titanic. This afternoon, I talked by ship-to-shore radio with the chief scientist on the Titanic expedition, Dr. Robert Ballard. Have you actually seen the hull of the Titanic standing upright as it's been reported? Over?
That's correct. It's sitting upright on the bottom.
What kind of condition does the Titanic look in? Over?
Appears to be in superb condition. One would expect that given the fact that we're working in extremely deep water. It's ice cold and in total darkness, so it's an environment of high preservation. Over.
Do you have any plans to try raising the Titanic? Over.
Oh, I think that would be ridiculous. No, absolutely not. In fact, I would like to go and try to ensure that desecration of this memorial to 1,500 souls is left the way it is. Over.
Amen to that. And of course, the inevitable thing happened right after they found the Titanic. Lawsuits. Lots and lots of lawsuits. Well, that's a story for another day. That is today in history. And finally, birthdays. I love Lily Tomlin. I love her. She's funny. She's smart. She makes you think. She's good in anything she's ever done before. Lily Tomlin is 81 years old today, and she still likes to work. What the heck? Lily Tomlin, she's great. I love her. Paul McCartney is the most successful songwriter in history. Who's number 2? How about Barry Gibb? Barry Gibb has written or co-written 16 songs that went to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, and not all of them were songs by the Bee Gees. Barry Gibb, 74 years old today. Happy birthday, Barry. And Phil McGraw, Dr. Phil Show. He was kind of doing nothing until Oprah found him. By the way, he no longer has his license to practice psychological therapy. he let that expire 14 years ago. Phil McGraw's 70 years old. Going to take a break. Mike McNally's got an opinion. Then we're going to talk about the mental health of your kids as they head back to school with Tim Day and Lauren Wiggum from Confluence Health. It's coming up. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Hi, my name is Blaine Johnson. I'm at Global Elite Motors. We're tied in with Global Car Care down here locally. So we're not your typical car buying experience. Somebody can come down here, take a look at what we have, and if we have the right vehicle for you, we'd be glad to help you out with it. A lot of times we are able to go out and find specific vehicles for somebody so that it fits their needs, their budget, and all the things that you want without you being obligated right away. If you're looking for a good, reliable car, come see me, Blaine Johnson, down at Global Elite Motors.
It's estimated that 1/3 of Americans do not have a financial plan. At D.A. Davidson, their advisors are working to change that because they understand the importance of planning for the future. At D.A. Davidson, they believe in partnering together to build a strategy tailored to your needs. They spend the time and have the knowledge to help keep your financial future on track. Let D.A. Davidson Financial Advisors of Wenatchee put the strength of advice to work for you.
Lila, what are you doing?
You said we're taking the Link bus and I should start tracking it.
No, I meant track it with the My Stop phone app. It shows you exactly where your bus is and exactly when it will arrive at your stop.
You mean I don't need all these maps? Hey, we just got a text alert. Our bus will be here in 2 minutes.
Let's roll.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. No wonder women are angry, and no wonder they're speaking out. For far too long, we've ignored the fact that women have been abused and harassed at the hands of some men. And yes, maybe it's not you, but it's somebody. Official stats used to be that 1 in 4 women would be sexually assaulted to some degree by the time she graduated high school. But in reality, this statistic is far too conservative. But even accepting that it's 25% of women who suffer this abuse, isn't that conservative figure a justifiable explanation for why women are speaking out and demanding change? Of course it is. This is Mike Mad Dog McNaughty, and that's my opinion.
How do you know when it's time to go to Boswell's Furniture? When you know the look you love, the colors you want, but need a little design help to bring it all together. With Boswell's complimentary design service, Glenn, Buffy, and Teresa guide you until your vision becomes reality. More styles, more fabrics, and more choices of quality home furnishings fill Boswell's expansive 2-story showroom so you can see it and feel it before you buy. Come into Boswell's and explore the endless possibilities of home furnishings. Boswell's on Easy Street. It's closer than you think.
I'm Dr. Wayne Latimer. I'm a chiropractic physician. I have postgraduate certifications in both whiplash, trauma, and rehab, as well as sports medicine. The location is great. The light and the visibility, the 17-foot ceilings are fantastic. You can go into a lot of clinics, and it's very clinical. People really like the spa environment, so my whole premise was take a spa environment, add the very serious rehab, and give people an enjoyable way to get better over time.
Coming home should never be a chore. Let Merry Maids of Wenatchee customize all your cleaning needs. Weekly, bi-weekly, special occasion. Do you have a vacation home that needs cleaning? We clean them too. Locally owned and operated, let Merry Maids do the cleaning while you focus on your family and friends. Merry Maids has special offers to fit your budget. Request your free cleaning estimate today, 509-663-1710.
And welcome back to Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. I am Dan Kuntz. Once a month, our good friends from Confluence Health comes by and pays us a visit to talk about the latest healthcare issues out there. Obviously, since March, we've been dealing with COVID-19, and that is the subject again today. But we're going to take a different approach. We have a couple of folks who know their way around the old noggin. We're going to talk to Tim Day and Lauren Wiggum from Confluence Health. The topic today, kids going back to school, kind of. and the mental health concerns with kids going back to school, kind of. Kids like to hang around kids. They can't do that right now. Tim and Lauren, welcome to the program. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for having us.
Good morning.
We appreciate it. Let's get to know you a little bit before we dive into the topic at hand. Lauren, tell folks about yourself.
Well, I'm a licensed mental health counselor at Confluence Health. I've been working here in Wenatchee for the last 3 years. I was born and raised in Wenatchee, and I'm so happy to be back.
Oh, good. Where'd you go to school?
I did my undergrad and graduate at Montana State University in
Oh,
Bozeman. Yeah,
go
so
Bobcats?
Go Bobcats.
Yeah, I got it
That's
right.
right. Yes.
All right, cool.
It's a great school.
Tim, same question.
Sure, yeah, I grew up in Washington State and wanted to come back here to start working with youth and families, and so I was excited to do that. I did my schooling at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Go
A
Rebels.
little bit in California, yeah, very good.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This concludes our interview. No. So we've been dealing with this since mid-March. I mean, everything was going fine, and then all of a sudden, everything was not going so fine. And we are where we are now as we dive into September. Kids are going back to school. Kids are back to school, but they're not back to school. Everything is virtual until we get to that magic number of 25 cases per 100,000 over a 2-week period. Can the kids even consider going back to school? So first question is, from your perspective, Tim, and I'd ask Lauren the same question. Is business up? Are kids okay? Or what's going on here from a child's standpoint?
Sure. You know, that's a big question, and I think everyone is struggling right now. I think this has been a big change that has been completely unexpected, and I think one of the hardest parts is there's a lot we don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty. So I think kids are struggling, and I think parents are struggling, and I think the big question that keeps coming up is, well, what do we do? So it is tough. You know, they are having a hard time with it.
Lauren, you agree with Tim?
I agree. I think there's been a lot of transitions and changes since March for kiddos. I think kids were suddenly online. You know, they've been going to school all year, and then all of a sudden, boom, you know, this big change to being online. I think the great thing this year as we're transitioning into the fall is that teachers are prepared. They spent a lot of time this summer thinking through what's the school year going to look like. So they took time and I think really did some great work with coming up with some game plans to help facilitate kids being online.
Being a former child myself, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say kids like to be hanging around other kids, especially, well, really all ages, but elementary school. The idea that all the kids, there's 25 of them in a classroom with a teacher and maybe a teacher's age, and they're learning together and they're doing activities together, that's got to be terribly stressful for the kids not being able to do that. I can't hang around with my buddy Johnny and my friend Nancy. What do you tell the kids? Sorry, you can't go play.
It's definitely a change for the kiddos, you know, transitioning to not having, you know, their peers around. I think, you know, families have made different choices with whom they spend time with and have really worked to try to have community, you know, at home or in their neighborhoods. There's lots of different ways I think that kiddos can connect, but I agree, you know, being in school does allow them a lot of opportunity to socialize.
I hate to say this question, is business good right now, Tim, because of what's going on?
You know, like I said, I think a lot of families are struggling, and there's this huge piece of uncertainty. What do we do? And I actually wanted to jump off Lauren's comment too. I think that social-emotional piece is so important for kiddos, and that is a big part of what school's about. You know, how do we forge those connections with our peers? How do we build relationships with one another and learn to socialize? You know, I think, yeah, kids are at home right now, but they aren't socially completely isolated. They have their parents there, you know, or a parent there that's helping them out. So I think it's really important for parents to be having conversations with them. You know, how do we talk about what's going on? Let's have reflections at the end of the day. And we do live in a digital world. I mean, even though we can't interact face to face, we see our friends on video games, on, you know, social media as appropriate for the children's age. I mean, using those connections, video chats, watching movie nights, things like that, I think can kind of accommodate for some of what's lost in those interactions.
But it's still not the same, is it?
Oh, no, of course not.
Yeah. So I guess the question is I have for you, Tim, and I'm going to address this to Lauren as well. From a parent standpoint, what do they need to look at that maybe Johnny's a little depressed, maybe Nancy's not doing so? What are some of the warning signs that the parents need to think that the kids are going through a stressful time right now?
Well, I think there's two pieces of that are important. First of all, I think a proactive approach. You know, parents need to be recognizing that how they're feeling also impacts how their kids are feeling. So I think in terms of monitoring our kids, we also got to be monitoring ourselves. How am I feeling right now? Am I feeling overwhelmed? What am I doing to take care of myself? And starting to model good self-care, mental health self-care. I think with kids, I think we can recognize that this is a big change for them, and we need to be asking them, need to be talking to them, looking out for things that are different to us. Parents are the experts on their kids. They're going to be the first ones to notice if something's changing. So I think they need to be trusting their intuition, be going to ask kids if they feel like anything's different, if kids are isolating more, and so on.
Same question, Lauren. What advice for parents? What do they need to look for making sure their kids are doing this okay?
I really agree with Tim and what he said there. I think it's important to think too, kiddos are resilient, and as parents and families model that, you know what, this is a change, this is different, but we're going to try to be flexible and try to, adapt to this challenge. But, if we're noticing there's changes in adaptability, difficulties with, worried thoughts, really feeling anxious, having difficulties with sleep, I think there's, quite a few markers there that parents will notice and see the change for their kiddos. And that's when, we're here at Behavioral Health to help kids and families come up with some coping and adaptive strategies to work through this time that is so difficult.
Well, let's talk about families. Most families, the kids are fairly close together age-wise. You have 2-3 kids within 5 years, and just down the road you go. How, from a family standpoint, what do you recommend to keep the family unit from just, I can't stand this anymore, I'm going nuts, I'm locked in my house and I'm staring at a screen for 8 hours a day?
I really believe in routines and transitions. Part of what makes school so helpful, being in school, is that there's routines built throughout the day. And what a lot of the struggle has been for parents is having that routine ripped away. So I think building back in your routines, knowing that, okay, school starts at this time in the morning, let's get back to our teeth brushing, let's go for a walk in the morning, like we've been doing that to go to the bus, let's get back to that routine. And then marking the transitions at the beginning, at the end of the day, having recess. Those are there for a reason to help give some structure to the day. So I think for parents to feel like this is manageable, have something that's predictable each day to follow.
So a schedule is important, a regimen, a daily regimen. This is lunch, this is breakfast, this is break time, that kind of deal. Are you worried that kids are spending, and I know I've talking to a number of professional educators, their biggest concern, one of their biggest concerns is that kids are spending an inordinate amount of time staring at a screen now. Now they do it anyway, school or no school, but now school is looking at a tablet or a computer all day. And is that a concern when it comes to mental health of kids?
There's a recent study published, and I'll have to get back to the name of the specific study, but they've actually shown that you can learn just as well using a screen from home. One of the big barriers has been that engagement piece. So, thinking about how do we get particularly young kids back engaged. But I think with a lot of the approaches that Lauren mentioned that schools are taking right now, we're trying to address that piece of it, and so they can learn very well, even though they are on a screen all day. I do think after school, it's important to keep with your regular routine in terms of how much video games and things like that you allow. So, electronic limits are appropriate in those situations.
Have you been in touch working with the school districts on this aspect of kids and learning and making sure that they're okay in this transition time, this strange time? Kids know what's going on. You can't fool kids.
They're very smart.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
they're very smart, and they're very perceptive, more perspective. Are the school districts reaching out to various mental health professionals for a helping hand in this case?
I can't speak directly to what they're doing because I'm not really sure, but I know based on some conversations I've had that schools are doing a lot of efforts to try to really take a proactive approach to monitoring for how kids are doing. Sure. So I think kind of the message that I've heard consistently is that this year is going to look different from this shock that we had earlier this year. We didn't know what was going to happen.
So at least we have answers anyway, but the best answer is to get to that magic 25 per 100,000, and then we can go back to normal. And let's talk about that real quick. We are hoping that we're going to get to that normal. The kids are going to go back to school. They're going to start with K through 5 or 6 and then work their way in. What are going to be the transitions of going back to school? Is it going to be too much too soon? All of a sudden, hey, I'm back in a classroom with 25 kids, and is that going to be like chaos for a while from a mental standpoint for the kids?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to my point earlier that kiddos are resilient. Kiddos and families are really resilient. And just as you said, that kiddos are perceptive, they are open to change. And I think, a lot of kiddos have really been looking forward to going back to school. And a lot of kiddos have had that transition in the past, right? Where we have the summer break and then we transition back to school. We've had, an extended break at this point. But it's something they've done before. And so I think for families, it's looping back to that. Hey, kiddo, we've done this before. And you know, it might look a little bit different. There might be some different protocols, different hand washing, all sorts of things like that in place, but it will still be your classroom and your teacher's there. It's the same person you've been seeing on a screen this whole time. They are so excited to see you. So it's that modeling of, you know, from parents.
We've talked a lot about the family unit, but as anybody will tell you, there are a number of fractured family units everywhere across socioeconomic backgrounds. Dad's not around anymore. Mom's not around anymore. Mom's taking care of the kids. Mom's working, all that kind of stuff. All the families right now, regardless of how your family unit is defined, is under a tremendous amount of stress. Just advice for families in general to get through this, to make sure that the family unit survives this crisis, Tim.
I think a lot of the focus that people feel right now is on that magic number we've been talking about. When are we going to get there? When is this changing and go back? And a lot of that's outside of our control. And I think when we focus on the things that are outside of our control, we just stress ourselves out unnecessarily because there's nothing we can do. So instead I suggest, you know, let's shift to what is in our control. What are the one or two things we can do every single day to make a difference, to feel like we're moving in some sort of direction? Even if it's not necessarily where we want to be right now, you know, parents would love to have their kids back in school, I'm sure. But there are things that we can do at home. What are some adjustments that we can make to help feel like we're moving?
Kids, go ahead, Lauren.
I just think during times of uncertainty, really focusing in on things that are certain. So finding opportunities to maybe practice gratitude during the day. What are some things that went really well today? What are some things we can focus on there? Again, back to Tim's point earlier, trying to find a schedule and routine during the day. You know, that can really help families feel consistent. You know, guardians, parents can follow that routine as well. So yeah, I think there's some opportunities there for sure. And you're right, every family looks different.
Kids are unfiltered for the most part. They say what's on their mind. They don't really have that. But there are also those kids who are really good liars. How you doing, Johnny? Are you doing? I'm fine. Johnny, the defense mechanism kicks in. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. Is that something that you need to keep an eye on as well?
Sure. I mean, again, I think parents are the experts on their kids. And if they have any sort of instinct that something's not right, I mean, then they need to follow up on that. And we also know that sometimes kids aren't likely to go to their families. And sometimes that's where it's beneficial to bring in somebody that is outside of the family unit that can be beneficial. And I know we have a lot of great resources here in the community. Confluence Health, we have our behavioral health program there, as well as other resources throughout. And school counselors are also doing quite a bit too. You know, school counselors are a great resource to take advantage of if you're worried about your child reaching out, getting that support.
Well, let's talk about the services at Confluence Health while I have you here. First of all, how do people, either as a family unit or as just a kid, how do they land on your radar? How do you think, you know, I think I better give Tim a call and maybe do a quick session? How do people end up on your radar and with your services?
You know, there's a lot of different routes to get there. You can just give Confluence a call, and the call center will direct you to somebody that they think might be a good fit for you. Usually my suggestion I give to parents and children is talk to your primary care doctor. You know, let them know that this is something that you're worried about. We have an exceptional group of doctors there, and they are very attuned to how do you manage mental health and how can we direct you in the right ways. At Confluence, we have a couple different programs. We have our people that are situated in the primary care clinics, and then we have our outpatient therapists as well that provide a lot more specialty work. So.
Lauren, how do you know you've had a good day? How do you know you've made a difference? What's a victory here?
You know, I love hearing people's stories and sitting with them and just being. And I think, again, you know, people are, you know, the expert on themselves. Kiddos are the experts, you know, and they understand their bodies and their brains, and we help them understand that even more in our work. And so, you know, there's just those moments where things just click, and I think that's when I know I've had an exceptional day.
What's a good day for Dr. Day?
You know, I really echo that. I mean, it feels great when you're able to see people moving in a positive direction. You know, they're making changes, and it works. You know, you see it, and I think that's why we do what we do. That's the reward for us.
Do you get that epiphany moment every once in a while, like some of your colleagues do, or who deal with the physical human body, our earthly vessel? We've cut out the cancer, and you're free. And you know, do you get that in the mental health thing? Does that happen? In that regard?
I'd say so. You know, I think it can be real exciting. You see sometimes something just clicks, and you're like, oh, you know, here's something I can do for myself to really move me to feeling better, and you see that motivation, and that's exciting. That's what I love about it.
So for you parents out there, if you think maybe it'd be a good time to maybe sit down with Lauren or Tim and just talk about things. That's what they get paid to do, And they do it well at Confluence Health. Anything else that's on your mind while I have you here?
No,
Just any final message for our viewers?
The one thing I guess we didn't hit on that I think is really important too is social support for parents. And even though we're all practicing social distancing right now, I think this is the time for parents to be talking to other parents, figuring out what's working for other parents, get that support. I think that can go a long ways to helping manage some of the stress.
Lauren, I'll give you the final word since you look a lot better than the good doctor and I do.
Well, I think sometimes during times of uncertainty, we try to reinvent the wheel. We try to say, okay, what's the magic solution? What's the magic fix here? And I think echoing what Tim said, a lot of parents have been working really hard and thinking about what works for their families. And so, sharing wisdom with one another, I think is so important. And remembering to breathe and take time in a day to pause, reflect on what we're grateful for, and remind ourselves that, we are continuing to move forward as a community together.
May I recommend a little dose of Mozart? It works for me. It worked for me yesterday, anyway. Tim Day, Lauren Wiggum from Confluence Health. It's good to see you. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day to drop by and see us.
for having us.
Anytime you want to come by, Lauren, you have an open invitation. All right? Tim, call ahead.
Oh boy. All right.
You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley. We'll be right back.
Hey folks, Carrie from Blueberry Hills in Manson, where we've got huge news. We've started our Blueberry U-Pick. It's a great time to toss the family in the car and get on out to Blueberry Hills, where you can get the best down-home scratch country cooking around and pick some of the world's most delicious and largest blueberries that have been high desert farmed. This makes for an intense blueberry flavor, and they are so much fun to pick. Our fields are open 8 to 2:30 daily and restaurant from 8 to 3, so come on out and join us.
Is search engine optimization right for my business? Maybe. Studies show the first and second search results get 50% of all the clicks. But you have to fight national chains to get there. If the user has to scroll down to find you, tough luck. You could hide a dead body on page 2 and the whole zombie apocalypse on page 3. Or you could spend less and get an ad in the Impact Big Print phone book, giving local businesses a chance to shine.
Impact Directories. Bigger print, better book.
Contractors, furniture makers, and weekend do-it-yourselfers around north central Washington will tell you that Lombard's Hardwood Supply is the place to get what you need. Lombard's full millwork shop can handle jobs large or small. Lombard's has a full line of interior and exterior doors available, as well as custom barn doors. From alderwood to zebrawood and everything in between, it's Lombard's Hardwood Supply on School Street in Sunny Slope. Like us on Facebook and check out our monthly special.
Building. It's in our blood. Building something out of nothing. It takes heart, grit, and hard work. At One Way Construction, our crew is our family. With decades of contracting experience and our in-house design team, we bring a unique perspective to building. We know that if we work together, we are capable of reaching heights that are impossible to reach alone. The possibilities are endless.
Another beautiful day out there. We've been in this incredible stretch of just beautiful weather. And you know what? It's going to continue. From the National Weather Service, one more peek of what we're looking at today. A lot of sunshine today, dry and warm, high of 91, considerably warmer than yesterday. We had 82, by the way, on the last day of August. So September coming in pretty much like August left us off. 65 for the overnight low tonight. It's going to be a little breezy tonight, Wednesday and Wednesday night. Wind will be picking up here and there. Slightly cooler Wednesday. When the winds pick up, it's going to usher in slightly cooler air. Nothing really big. Just a 2-degree difference for the afternoon high between today and tomorrow. Thursday, 92. And then here comes Labor Day weekend. And by early September standards, it's going to feel hot. As you can see there, 95 on Friday. 96 on Saturday, 96 on Sunday for Labor Day proper. Monday, sunshine and 95. Labor Day is looking good. It's looking, the whole forecast is looking good. All of these temperatures that you see, your overnight lows and your afternoon highs are all above normal. Normally, we'd be in the lower 80s for early September. So, love this weather. Jessica Johnson from Sage will be my guest tomorrow on Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley. Can't wait for that. Until then, be good, be safe. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.